what what's kind of exciting to me to hear about your thinking about or thinking around this stuff is that we're being recorded, um, and we're in this situation. Some could argue many pandemics, but certainly the two that we're talking about, COVID-19 and this sort of race and blood memory that we're dealing with, is about listening. Like, no, people aren't listening to one another. Um, there's something about people not listening in December and January when like something across these big ponds of water was like, wait, like there was something about us not listening then. Um, and also something something about not listening to those first captured bodies on the transatlantic slave trade coming over here. Like, no, do not put me like. Even if you didn't know the language, there was something about not listening to the body. People weren't just fucking listening, and I think that's why we are here. And you might be thinking about those things. I too have similar kinds of feelings. Leaving places, going out. Um, Sometimes I don't get the opportunity to stay in one place for a very long time. So there's something interesting about having to survive. There's an air of caution that I like. I feel like I'm always aware of. Yeah. Caution as in cuidado, like concern, like be careful, like always. That poet we listened to earlier was talking about like know when it's time to come home, that kind of deal. So yeah, I'm excited that you're thinking about this stuff too because it's on my mind, and I would imagine that it's probably on other people's minds. Yeah, it's Smokey. It's like starting first off. We're building a campfire. You should just like we should like let people know that. Um, so there's a
He set me free. He set me out of He set me He set me free.
be psycho. A lot to chew on. I may miss something. We began by talking about kind of like erasure and how there are different kinds of deaths. And I, at one point, only thought about the physical death. And it wasn't until a little later on in my life that I recognized that there is a social death too. Reading about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, freedom fighters we don't know, James Baldwin, Kevin Thomas, the brother I went to high school with, the sister I went to college with. Those names, those people, it's like if you listen to the way that they talk, they've had to overcome a kind of social and psychological death. They're like, I was thinking poorly about myself. I was dead. I was dead to myself. And it wasn't about a physical thing. My eyes were working, my ears were working, my nose, my mouth. I could walk, but my mind was fucked up. And that's real. The study, white doll, black child, white child. What doll do you go to? Social death, psychological death. I'm thinking about Martin Luther King not being able to afford the home that he was living in when he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Social death. Not being able to operate in certain circles. Our president, current Trump, for example, allegations of harassment by the very people that said that they did it. They're pointing fingers. They're alive and well, and this person is still able to move and negotiate and make things work in the world. I don't know many black people like that. I found a noose on my door, and I told people I can't get a job in the field anymore. I feel like that's kind of social death. I think we deal with a lot of that. So we can talk about Eric Garner. We can talk about Sandra Bland. We can talk about all these people who have been literally killed, snuffed out by police and others physically that we want to talk that we can never talk to again. But there's also a psychological thing that comes with that too. That fear that you're talking about. What's that? Yeah. Cool.
Enter women.
W.
Enter them. Enter there. Enter malnutrition. Enter males. Enter feeling of wearing right shoes on wrong feet. Enter self-doubt. Enter signs plastic held together standing up with glue, metal, shelves that are stocked out, shelves without stock. We're understanding enter. Enter plastic lids. Enter the bases they correspond. Enter brown plastic lids. Enter the brown bases the brown lids correspond. Enter knowledge that each grouping of bases and lids are different from the other. Enter division. Enter professional development. Enter diversity. Enter knowledgeable staff. B rolls in again. Enter context. Eric enter. Enter Angela. Enter collard greens.
Back.
Enter well-securing BB container, box, or bag.
B.
Enter tofurkey. Enter the cupboard for the lazy Susan chair. Enter blinking lights.
Enter in and
lights
out.
that present the sustained glow brilliance. Enter people who grave marker will greet later by
Enter
name. Enter
being
time
out of the
before
line.
present moment. Let time go by months.
Enter line.
6.
Man, what was we on? What was that? This is what we need. Not that commercial though. I might be out of the line. I'm just putting music on. Is that okay? My bad. T. It's like
He set me free. He set me free.
The movement for Black Lives and others, Standing Rock, you know, now one more, Dream Defenders. There have been multiple uh, social movements and modern social movements that have been attempting to disrupt the ritualization of the dehumanization of the most vulnerable within the US. So when the movement for Black Lives disrupt the day-to-day travel and going in and out along your business, when Black men, women, trans, non-gender conforming, indigenous people are being mutilated, socioeconomically are being caged, right? Is a disruption of the rituals that essentially that we're talking about. It's this white supremacist imaginary that closes itself off from the reality of the truth about who we are. That said, one of the things we have been wrestling and struggling with here.
I have great insight, but I don't think I'm prophetic. That's just how I see myself.
I'm not saying any of that.
What are
All
you saying?
I'm saying is whatever my narrative is, that I retain the right to articulate that without someone imposing on me what that might be.
I disagree with that. I don't have the right to do that without acknowledging what William Du Bois has said. I don't have the right to do that without acknowledging what Mary Church Terrell has said. It's not, it doesn't, the conversation doesn't begin and end with Ruby Sells. Part of being of a collective experience means that you have historical voices in your head, and these are the voices that you draw from. Otherwise, you're existing in a narcissistic, self-centered reality that is devoid of history. And so I think we have to really, when I come before you, I'm not choosing to speak principally as Ruby Sells. I'm speaking as my mama. I'm speaking as my daddy. I'm speaking as Mary Church Terrell. I'm even speaking as Kwak Kwilan, who taught me in EDS. I have lots of voices in my head, and it's those voices that become the part of who I am in the world. And the problem is when we become disconnected from those voices, we're unrelated. Voice Kwilan, who taught me in EDS. I have lots of voices in my head, and it's those voices that become the part of who I am in the well, and you're so bright, and every time you open your mouth, you're quoting a source. And so obviously, you've got these voices in your head who are speaking, and you're channeling those voices. And that's what makes you well, and you're so bright, and every time you open your mouth, you're quoting a source. And it's ability to move beyond, to be able to enter into conversations beyond time and space.
Well, if I can say, I
life that won't last. Didn't give.
The place I slept in, a bodega, the store. And they showed me one in it between people. Looked like a bunch of ants between cities, like in a farm. Insane. Yeah, they showed me another one. And it looked like I'm from every lot of saying I love my practice, my own body. How the fuck are you gonna be like afraid to breathe? This shit is so crazy. I can't breathe. Some people's last words. And yet there's a virus in the air at the very same time that is spread by breathing. I didn't miss that. You know what I mean? That is like, I can't breathe. Don't breathe too close to me. Someone has asked me restrictions, this shelter in place, this curfew, this lock-in kind of. Asked me, what if that was the plan? What if that was the plan? To get all of as many ants as we can out of the garden so that one can see what's really happening. Who's moving? What's essential? And that kind of was like scary. Everything about Frames for Nine and surveillance. Phones and surveillance. Everything about Zoom and surveillance. Their elevators, fairly small. Everything about watching, about paying attention to proximity in a different way. I have a friend. About paying attention to proximity in a different way. People in a grocery store. About paying attention to proximity in a different way. About paying attention to proximity in a different way.